Welcome to HD Rare Coins. What if that ordinary state quarter in your pocket right now could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even a shocking amount of money? Most people spend these 25-cent coins without ever checking them, while collectors are searching for rare errors, unusual varieties, and valuable state quarters hiding in plain sight. Today, we're revealing the top 10 most expensive state quarter-dollar coins in the United States. And number one could be the coin you've been carrying all along. So watch until the end. And if you love rare coins, please subscribe, like, share, and comment with the most valuable coin you've ever found. Thanks with love for watching. Top 1. Have you ever wondered how many valuable coins are sitting unnoticed in American homes right now? Maybe inside an old coin jar. Maybe inside a forgotten drawer. Maybe in a family collection that hasn't been opened for years. Or maybe inside an original U.S. mint proof set that someone bought, stored away, and completely forgot about. Now imagine opening that collection and finding a 2001 P Vermont Washington quarter. At first, you might look at it and think, it's only a quarter, 25 cents. Nothing special. But what if that first impression is exactly what makes people overlook potentially interesting coins? Because in the world of rare coins, the most exciting discoveries don't always look valuable. Sometimes they look completely ordinary. And that's where the psychology of coin collecting becomes fascinating. The human brain naturally pays attention to things that appear rare, hidden, unusual, or difficult to find. That's why treasure hunts are so addictive. You don't know what you're going to discover until you look. And when you're searching through coins, every single piece creates the same little question in your mind. Could this be the one? Today, we're taking a very close look at the 2001 P Vermont State Quarter, a United States Washington quarter from the famous 50 State Quarters program, with special attention to examples preserved in proof sets. And before you dismiss this coin as ordinary pocket change, there are several things you should understand. The 2001 Vermont quarter is not just another quarter. It represents a major moment in modern American coin collecting. The United States Mint's State Quarters program created an incredible wave of interest in coin collecting. Millions of Americans began searching their change. People who had never considered themselves coin collectors started saving quarters. Coin folders became popular. Proof sets became popular. Families started collecting every state. And suddenly, a simple 25-cent coin became something people wanted to keep instead of spend. Vermont was one of the states featured in this historic series. And the reverse design gives this quarter a strong connection to Vermont's landscape and traditions. Look closely at the design. You can see Camel's Hump, one of Vermont's most recognizable mountains. You can also see maple trees and a sugar house, representing Vermont's famous maple syrup industry. It is a small piece of metal, but the design tells a story. And that story is part of what makes the State Quarter Series so collectible. Now turn the coin over. There is George Washington. Look carefully near the date. If you see the letter P, you have the Philadelphia Mint version. And this tiny letter is where many collectors begin their investigation. But here's the important part. Finding a 2001 P Vermont quarter does not automatically mean you found a rare fortune. This is where you need to separate excitement from reality. The majority of 2001 P Vermont quarters are common. Most ordinary circulated examples are worth around their face value. But collectors aren't simply searching for the date. They're searching for what makes one particular coin different from the millions of others. And that difference can come from condition. It can come from a mint error. It can come from a recognized variety. It can come from exceptional preservation. It can come from a very high certified grade. Or it can come from a combination of several desirable characteristics. This is why serious coin hunters don't just glance at a coin. They investigate it. Imagine two 2001 P Vermont quarters sitting next to each other. They have the same date. They have the same mint mark. They have the same basic design. But one coin has spent years circulating through stores, pockets, vending machines, and cash registers. It has scratches. contact marks, wear, maybe even discoloration. Now look at the other coin. It has been carefully protected. The details are sharp. The surfaces are attractive. The original appearance has been preserved. The difference could be enormous from a collector's perspective. And if that second coin has an exceptionally high certified grade, suddenly you may have something much more interesting. This is why condition matters so much in modern coin collecting. Collectors often search for coins that look almost untouched. Sharp lettering, strong design details, clean surfaces, excellent eye appeal, minimal contact marks, and exceptional overall preservation. But now let's get to the part that makes coin hunters really excited. Errors. A genuine mint error can completely change the story of a coin. Imagine a quarter leaving the United States Mint with something seriously wrong during production. Maybe the planchet wasn't properly formed. Maybe the coin wasn't centered correctly when struck. Maybe there's a major die problem. Maybe part of the design was struck in an unusual way. Maybe another legitimate minting anomaly occurred. When an error is genuine and significant, collectors can become extremely interested. But this is also where inexperienced collectors can make expensive mistakes. Not every unusual-looking quarter is a valuable error. A scratch isn't automatically an error. A dent isn't automatically an error. A coin that has been damaged in a machine isn't automatically an error. A strange color isn't automatically an error. And a coin that has been deliberately altered isn't a mint error. The key question is, did the unusual feature happen at the United States Mint during production, or did it happen after the coin entered circulation? That distinction can mean everything. So if you believe your 2001 P Vermont quarter has a major error, don't rush to sell it just because someone online claims that similar coins are worth thousands. Slow down. Inspect it. Compare it. Research it. And if necessary, have it authenticated, because when real money is involved, assumptions can become expensive. Now, let's talk about the proof set. If your 2001 P Vermont quarter came from an official proof set, you may notice that the coin looks very different from a typical circulation quarter. Proof coins are specially manufactured for collectors. They are produced with special preparation and striking processes designed to create sharp, attractive details. That's why proof coins can have a distinctive appearance. But here's something very important to remember. Being from a proof set doesn't automatically make a coin extremely valuable. There are many proof sets. There are many surviving proof coins. Collectors still look at condition, surfaces, authenticity, varieties, errors, and grade. So don't assume that every 2001 P Vermont proof quarter is a jackpot. Instead, think of the proof set as the beginning of your investigation. Open the case carefully. Look at the coin under good lighting. Don't touch the surfaces unnecessarily. Never polish it. Never scrub it. Never use chemicals to make it look shinier. This is one of the biggest mistakes that can destroy collector value. A coin's original surface can be extremely important. If you believe you found something valuable, protect it exactly as you found it. Now, think about something else. Why do people become so emotionally attached to rare coins? Because every coin carries uncertainty. You don't know what you're holding until you investigate it. That uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity creates excitement. And excitement makes people keep searching. That's why you can look through 50 ordinary quarters and feel nothing. Then on the 51st coin, you notice something strange. You stop. You pick it up. You look closer. You compare it with another coin. And suddenly, your entire attention is focused on that tiny piece of metal. That moment is the real thrill of coin collecting. It's the feeling that maybe, just maybe, you found something other people ignored. And that's why the 2001 P Vermont quarter is worth examining carefully. Not because every example is rare, but because you want to identify the examples that stand apart. Start with the date. Make sure it actually says 2001. Then confirm the mint mark. Look for the P. Next, inspect Washington's portrait. Look carefully at the lettering. Check Liberty. Check I in God We Trust. Examine the date. Then turn the coin over. Study the Vermont design. Look at Camel's Hump. Look at the maple trees. Look at the sugar house. Inspect the lettering around the edge of the design. Look for unusual doubling or distortion. Then examine the rim and edge. A significant minting problem can sometimes be easier to understand when you inspect the entire coin instead of focusing on one small area. And don't forget the surfaces. A coin that has beautiful original surfaces and exceptional preservation can be much more desirable than a heavily circulated example. This is where professional grading becomes important for potentially valuable coins. A reputable grading service can authenticate the coin and assign a standardized grade. That grade can help collectors understand exactly how well the coin has survived. But again, don't assume that every coin needs professional grading. For a normal circulated quarter worth face value, grading usually makes little financial sense. The goal is to identify whether your particular coin has enough unusual characteristics, rarity, or condition to justify further evaluation. Now imagine this scenario. You find an old proof set. You almost put it back. You think you've seen these coins 100 times. But then you notice the Vermont quarter. You take it out. You inspect the date. 2001. You look closer. P-mint mark. Then you notice that the coin is unusually well preserved. You look again. Something about the strike appears different. You compare it with another example. And now you have questions. That's the moment when you should stop guessing and start researching. Because the worst thing you can do is either throw away a potentially interesting coin or convince yourself that it's worth a fortune without evidence. The smart collector does neither. The smart collector investigates. And that mindset is what separates serious collectors from people simply chasing viral price claims. Now let's talk about value. This is the part that gets everyone's attention. How much is a 2001 P Vermont Washington quarter worth? For a typical circulated coin, the answer is usually simple, around 25 cents. That's the reality for the majority of ordinary examples. But collectible value can increase when the coin has exceptional condition, a very high certified grade, a recognized variety, or a genuine and significant mint error. Proof examples can also carry collector premiums depending on their condition and specific characteristics. And the highest prices are generally reserved for coins that are genuinely scarce, exceptionally preserved, professionally certified, or affected by important minting errors. This is why you should never believe a giant price number just because someone put in a video title or online listing. A seller can ask almost anything. That doesn't mean someone actually paid it. Real coin value depends on the exact coin and the real market. So if you discover a 2001 P Vermont quarter that appears unusual, investigate the exact characteristics before believing any specific valuation. And now, after everything we've discussed, I want you to think about your own collection. Where is your 2001 Vermont quarter? Is it a proof set? Is it an album? Is it sitting inside a jar? Is it mixed with hundreds of other quarters? Or maybe you've never even looked at it closely. That's the fascinating thing. And that's how hidden treasures stay hidden. People don't notice them. They don't check them. They simply spend them. But a knowledgeable collector sees something different. They see a date. They see a mint mark. They see a design. They see condition. They see possibilities. And sometimes those possibilities lead to a genuinely valuable discovery. So the next time you see a 2001 P Vermont quarter, don't immediately throw it into your spending pile. Take a second. Turn it over. Look carefully. Ask yourself what makes this particular coin different, because that question could lead you to something interesting. And remember, the most valuable lesson in coin collecting isn't simply learning the highest price. It's learning how to recognize why one coin is more desirable than another. That's what gives you an advantage. That's what helps you avoid fake claims. That's what helps you protect potentially valuable coins. And that's what turns ordinary pocket change hunting into a real treasure hunt. So check those old proof sets. Check your state quarter folders. Check your coin jars. Check those forgotten collections. Check the coins your parents or grandparents may have saved, because you never know what has been sitting there unnoticed. The 2001 P Vermont Washington quarter may be ordinary in one condition and much more interesting in another. The date alone doesn't create the fortune. The mint mark alone doesn't create the fortune. The proof set origin alone doesn't create the fortune. The real story is in the details. Condition, grade, rarity, errors, varieties, authenticity, collector demand, and the exact characteristics of the individual coin. And that is why one little quarter can create so much excitement. Because the next coin you inspect could be completely ordinary. Or it could be the coin that makes you stop searching, stare at your collection, and wonder how you almost missed it. So before you spend your next quarter, check it. Before you sell an old coin, research it. Before you clean a potentially valuable coin, stop. And before you believe a huge online price claim, verify it. Because in rare coin collecting, knowledge is the difference between guessing and knowing. And who knows? That little 2001 P Vermont quarter sitting quietly in your collection might be much more interesting than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2001 P Vermont Washington quarter, make sure you like this video, share it with other coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next rare coin treasure hunt. And tell us in the comments, do you have a 2001 P Vermont quarter from Proof Set? Have you ever discovered a rare coin hiding in your collection? You might be surprised how many other collectors have their own stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't ignore your coins because sometimes the smallest pieces of American history can hide the biggest surprises. Keep searching, keep checking, and keep learning. And most importantly, before you spend that quarter, look at it one more time. Have you ever looked at a modern American quarter and thought, there's no way this little coin could be worth serious money? That is exactly the kind of thinking that causes interesting coins to be overlooked. Because when people hear the words rare coin, they usually imagine an ancient silver dollar, an old gold coin, or a century-old penny covered in age and history. But the truth is, valuable coins can sometimes be much newer. And one of the most interesting places to look is right inside modern U.S. quarters. Today, we are taking a close look at the 2018 P. Cumberland Island National Seashore Quarter, a United States of America Washington quarter from the America, the Beautiful Quarters program. And if you have one of these coins in a proof set or collection, don't rush to assume that it is simply another 25-cent piece. Take a closer look. Because the difference between an ordinary example and a desirable collectible can sometimes come down to details that most people completely ignore. The first thing you should know is the story behind this quarter. The Cumberland Island National Seashore Quarter was released as part of the America, the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that brought some of America's most spectacular national parks, monuments, and historic places onto U.S. coins. Cumberland Island is located off the coast of Georgia and is known for its beautiful natural environment, beaches, maritime forests, wildlife, and historic surroundings. The reverse of the quarter gives collectors a small glimpse into that remarkable location. Look closely at the design. You can see a beautiful coastal scene featuring the Cumberland Island landscape, including the distinctive imagery associated with the national seashore. And that is one reason these quarters are so interesting to collectors. You're not simply collecting a denomination. You're collecting a miniature piece of American geography and history. Now turn the coin over. There is George Washington. Look closely near the date. If you see a small P Mint mark, that identifies the coin as being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And now the treasure hunt begins. Because the question isn't simply whether you have a 2018 Cumberland Island quarter. The real question is, what condition is your coin in? Where did it come from? Does it have unusual characteristics? And could it have something that separates it from ordinary examples? This is where collectors become extremely careful. Imagine finding a quarter that looks almost untouched. The details are sharp. The surfaces are clean. The lettering is strong. The design has excellent eye appeal. There are very few contact marks. Now compare that with a quarter that has been circulating for years. The difference can be dramatic. One coin may be ordinary pocket change. The other could be a much more interesting collectible. And if your coin came from an official U.S. mint-proof set, you have another reason to inspect it carefully. Proof coins are specially manufactured for collectors. They receive special preparation and striking treatment designed to produce sharper details and attractive surfaces that can make proof examples especially appealing to collectors who specialize in modern U.S. coins. But here's where you need to be careful. A proof set coin is not automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. That is a common misunderstanding. The fact that a coin came from a proof set is only one part of the story. Collectors still care about condition, grade, surface quality, rarity, varieties, errors, and actual market demand. So if you have a 2018 Cumberland Island quarter from a proof set, don't immediately assume you have a jackpot. Instead, start investigating. Look at the date. Look at the P mint mark. Study Washington's portrait. Inspect Liberty. Inspect I in God We Trust. Look at the lettering and the date. Then turn the coin over. Study every detail of the Cumberland Island design. Look at the animals, landscape, lettering, and rim. You're looking for anything that appears unusual. And this is where coin collecting becomes psychologically exciting. Your brain knows that something valuable might be hiding among ordinary objects. That creates curiosity. Curiosity makes you inspect the next coin, then another, and suddenly, a simple quarter becomes a treasure hunt. You start thinking, what if this is the unusual one? What if I found an error? What if this coin has an extremely high grade? What if everyone else overlooked it? That feeling is what keeps collectors searching. But there is one important rule. Don't confuse damage with a mint error. A genuine mint error happens during production at the mint. Post-mint damage happens after the coin leaves the mint. A scratch isn't automatically a mint error. A dent isn't automatically a mint error. A bent coin isn't automatically a mint error. A coin with unusual discoloration isn't automatically rare. And a coin that has been intentionally modified isn't a genuine mint error. This distinction is extremely important because online coin videos and listings can sometimes make ordinary damage look incredibly valuable. If you think your quarter has a serious error, compare it carefully with known examples and consider professional authentication before assuming it is worth a fortune. Now let's talk about condition. This is where the story gets really interesting. Modern quarters can survive in enormous numbers, so simply being old isn't enough. A 2018 quarter is relatively modern. That means collectors often focus heavily on exceptional preservation. Imagine finding a coin that has been protected since the day it was produced. It hasn't been carried in a pocket. It hasn't been thrown into a vending machine. It hasn't been rubbed against hundreds of other coins. It has remained protected inside a collection. The surfaces can be dramatically better. And when a coin combines exceptional condition with a desirable error or recognized variety, that's when the potential becomes much more exciting. This is also why professional grading can matter. A reputable grading company can authenticate and grade a coin. A high grade tells collectors that the coin has survived in exceptional condition compared with other examples. But again, don't send every coin you find to a grading company. Certification costs money. For an ordinary quarter worth face value, it generally makes little financial sense. The goal is to identify coins that are genuinely unusual or exceptionally preserved. And if your 2018 Cumberland Island quarter appears to have something special, then professional evaluation may be worth considering. Another mistake you should never make is cleaning the coin. If you find an old-looking or potentially valuable coin, do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not use household chemicals. Do not try to make it shine. Collectors generally prefer original surfaces. Cleaning can leave scratches and permanently change the coin's appearance. If you believe you have something valuable, protect it instead. Handle it by the edges. Keep it in an appropriate holder, and avoid touching the surfaces as much as possible. Now imagine the excitement of finding this coin inside an old collection. You open a box that hasn't been touched in years. Inside are U.S. Mint sets, proof sets, state quarters, America the Beautiful quarters, and random coins. You start looking through them. Most are ordinary. Then you reach the 2018 Cumberland Island quarter. You look at the date. You notice the P. You examine the surfaces. Something catches your attention. Maybe the strike looks unusual. Maybe the condition is incredible. Maybe you notice a possible double detail. Maybe you see something strange around the edge. Now your curiosity takes over. You grab a magnifying glass. You compare the coin with another example. And suddenly, that 25-cent piece has become the most interesting coin in the box. That's the magic of collecting. The coin doesn't have to be ancient to tell story. It doesn't have to look spectacular to deserve investigation. Sometimes the value is hidden in a tiny detail. And that's why experienced collectors inspect their coins carefully. Now, let's discuss the value. This is the part that gets everyone excited. How much can a 2018 Cumberland Island National Seashore quarter be worth? For a normal circulated example, you're generally looking at around the 25-cent face value. That's the reality for most ordinary examples. But exceptional coins can be different. A proof example in excellent condition may carry collector interest. A very high-grade, certified example may be more desirable. And a genuine, significant mint error or recognized variety can potentially command a much larger premium depending on rarity, condition, authentication, and collector demand. The important thing is that there is no single price that applies to every 2018 Cumberland Island quarter. The exact coin matters. The grade matters. The error matters. The variety matters. The market matters. And confirmed sales matter much more than exaggerated asking prices online. So if someone claims that every 2018 Cumberland Island quarter is worth thousands of dollars, don't believe it automatically. Do your research. Look at the exact coin. Check the condition. Confirm the minting characteristic. And if necessary, have it professionally evaluated. Because the difference between a genuine rare coin and an ordinary quarter can be enormous. And that is exactly why you should check your collection. Look through your old proof sets. Look through your America the Beautiful quarter albums. Check your coin jars. Check your drawers. Check inherited collections. Check those boxes of coins that nobody has opened in years. Because the most exciting discovery is often the one you weren't expecting. Maybe your 2018 Cumberland Island quarter is completely ordinary. That's okay. You still have a fascinating piece of American history. But maybe you discover something unusual. Maybe you find a coin in extraordinary condition. Maybe you discover a legitimate mint error. Maybe you have an example that deserves professional attention. You won't know until you look. And that is the most important lesson of this entire coin hunt. Don't let the modern date fool you. Don't let the 25-cent denomination fool you. And don't assume that every coin is worthless just because millions were made. Look at the details. Learn the differences. Understand what collectors are searching for. And always verify before believing a huge valuation. Because rare coin collecting isn't simply about finding old coins. It's about finding the unusual. It's about recognizing rarity. It's about understanding condition. It's about discovering history in places where other people see nothing special. And that's why a 2018 Cumberland Island National Seashore Quarter can be worth examining. It may be sitting quietly in a proof set right now. It may be inside your collection. It may be hiding among ordinary quarters. And maybe, just maybe, you have never looked at it closely enough. So take another look. Check the date. Check the P mint mark. Study Washington. Study the Cumberland Island design. Inspect the surfaces. Check the rim and edge. Look for genuine mint errors. And if something looks unusual, don't clean it and don't rush to sell it. Protect it. Research it. Authenticate it. Because you never know when a simple quarter could turn into your next exciting coin discovery. And remember, the real treasure isn't simply the price. The real treasure is knowing what you have. But when rarity, condition, and demand all come together, that little piece of American history can become much more interesting to collectors. So before you spend your next quarter, stop for just a second. Turn it over. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look at the design. Because the next valuable coin you discover may not be hiding in a museum. It may be hiding in your own collection. If you enjoyed this rare coin treasure hunt, please like this video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more valuable U.S. coins, rare quarters, Washington quarters, America, the beautiful quarters, proof coins, mint errors, coin collecting tips, and valuable coins worth money. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us if you have a 2018 Cumberland Island National Seashore Quarter in your collection, and tell us whether yours came from a proof set, an uncirculated set, or regular circulation. Thanks for watching, and keep checking your coins. Because sometimes the coin that looks like nothing more than 25 cents could be the coin you almost threw away. Keep searching, keep learning, and never stop looking for the hidden treasures in your change. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next rare coin treasure hunt. What if a quarter that looks completely ordinary could be hiding a detail that makes collectors stop, look twice, and reach for a magnifying glass? Imagine finding an old U.S. mint proof set that has been sitting untouched for years. You open it. You see the familiar Washington quarter. You almost move on. Then you notice the date. 2015. You look closer. You see the P mint mark. And suddenly, one simple question enters your mind. Could this little quarter actually be worth more than 25 cents? That question is exactly what makes modern coin collecting so exciting. Because valuable coins don't always look valuable. Sometimes they are old. Sometimes they are silver. Sometimes they are covered in history. But sometimes the coin sitting quietly inside a collection is a modern quarter that almost everybody would overlook. Today, we're taking a close look at the 2015 Saratoga quarter from the United States of America, part of the Beautiful Quarters program. And if you have this coin from a proof set, don't put it away just yet. There are several details you need to understand before deciding whether your coin is ordinary, collectible, or potentially something much more interesting. The Saratoga quarter honors Saratoga National Historical Park in New York. This location is deeply connected with American history, especially the battles of Saratoga during the American Revolutionary War. The battles fought at Saratoga in 1777 were a major turning point in the Revolutionary War, and the American victory helped strengthen the cause of independence. So when you hold this quarter, you're holding more than a denomination. You're holding a miniature reminder of one of the most important chapters in early American history. And that is one reason collectors love the Beautiful Quarter series. Each coin tells a different American story. Each reverse design connects the coin to a real location, historical event, or national treasure. But now turn the coin over. You'll see George Washington. Look closely at the date, 2015, and then look for the tiny letter P. That P tells you the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And this is where your inspection should begin. But don't make the mistake of thinking that every 2015 P Saratoga quarter is automatically rare. That's not how coin collecting works. Millions of modern quarters were produced. Many examples are still available. Most ordinary circulated coins remain close to face value. The real excitement begins when you find something that separates your particular coin from the ordinary examples. Maybe the condition is exceptional. Maybe the coin has an unusual minting characteristic. Maybe there is a legitimate error. Maybe it is an extremely high-grade example. Or maybe the surfaces are so beautiful that collectors would pay a premium for the right specimen. This is why the serious collector doesn't simply look at a coin. They investigate it. Imagine having two 2015 P Saratoga quarters in front of you. Both have exactly the same date. Both have the P mint mark. Both show the same historic design. But one has been circulating for years. It's covered in scratches. There are contact marks everywhere. The high points are worn. The surfaces are dull. Now look at the other coin. It has been protected since the day it was made. The details are sharp. The surfaces are clean and original. The design has excellent eye appeal. The lettering is crisp. Suddenly, these two coins don't feel equal anymore. That's because condition matters. And when a modern coin reaches an exceptionally high certified grade, collectors can become much more interested. Now, if your 2015 P Saratoga quarter came from an official proof set, pay very close attention. Proof coins are specially produced for collectors. They receive special preparation and are struck in a way designed to create sharp details and attractive surfaces. That can give proof coins a distinctive appearance compared with ordinary circulation strikes. But here's an important warning. Proof set does not automatically mean huge money. There are many proof coins. The value depends on the exact coin, condition, grade, rarity, errors, varieties, and collector demand. So if someone tells you that every 2015 P Saratoga proof quarter is worth thousands of dollars, don't believe that claim without checking the evidence. The smart collector asks, what makes this particular coin different? That is the question that can save you from bad information. And it can also help you discover something genuinely valuable. Start by examining the date. Make sure it clearly reads 2015. Then locate the P mint mark. Look carefully around Washington's portrait. Inspect Liberty. Inspect I in God We Trust. Look at the lettering. Look at the date. Then turn the coin over. Study the Saratoga National Historical Park design. Look at every part of the reverse. Don't rush. A magnifying glass can help you see details that are difficult to notice with the naked eye. And this is where the psychology of treasure hunting becomes powerful. Your brain naturally becomes more interested when you know something valuable might be hidden. You look at one coin, then another. You start comparing them. You begin noticing tiny differences. And suddenly, a pile of ordinary quarters doesn't look ordinary anymore. It becomes a treasure hunt. You start asking yourself, could this be the rare one? Could this have an error? Could this coin have survived in incredible condition? Could I have something that other people ignored? That uncertainty creates excitement. And that excitement is what keeps collectors searching. But you must learn to separate real mint errors from damage. A genuine mint error occurs during the manufacturing process. A coin can become damaged after leaving the mint. A scratch isn't automatically an error. A dent isn't automatically an error. A flattened edge isn't automatically a valuable variety. A strange color doesn't automatically mean rarity. And a coin altered by a person isn't the same as a coin that left the mint with a genuine production error. If you think your 2015 P Saratoga quarter has a major error, compare it with known examples and consider professional authentication before making an important financial decision. Because when people see huge prices online, emotions can take over. That's another reason rare coin collecting requires patience. You don't want excitement to make you believe something without evidence. You want excitement to motivate you to investigate. That's the difference. Now, let's talk about preservation. If your coin came from a proof set and still has its original appearance, be extremely careful. Don't polish it. Don't rub it with a cloth. Don't use household chemicals. Don't try to make it shine. Cleaning can damage the original surface and reduce collector appeal. If you think the coin may be valuable, handle it by the edges and keep it protected. And if you believe you found a genuinely rare error or exceptionally valuable specimen, professional grading and authentication may be worth considering. A professional grading company can authenticate the coin and assign a condition grade. For modern U.S. coins, high grades can matter significantly because many examples exist, but comparatively fewer may survive in exceptional condition. This creates an interesting situation. The coin itself might be common, but an exceptionally preserved example can be much harder to find. And that is why collectors sometimes compete for the best examples. Think about it. If thousands of people own the same type of coin, but only a small number have survived at the highest levels of preservation, those exceptional examples can become much more desirable. That's the psychology of scarcity. People naturally place greater value on things that are difficult to obtain, and coin collectors are no different. Now imagine finding your 2015 P Saratoga quarter inside an old proof set. You pull it out. You inspect the date. You see the P. You look at the surfaces. You notice how sharp everything looks. You start wondering how many other examples have survived in the same condition. Then you notice something unusual. Maybe it's a possible doubling. Maybe it's a striking anomaly. Maybe it's a strange edge. Maybe it's simply an exceptionally beautiful coin. Now, the coin has your full attention. And that's exactly how many collecting stories begin. Not with a treasure chest. Not with a museum. Not with a millionaire walking into a coin shop. But with someone deciding to look closer. That's the lesson you should remember. Look closer. Because the first glance doesn't always tell the whole story. Now let's get to the question everybody wants answered. How much is a 2015 P Saratoga quarter worth? For a normal circulated example, the value is generally around the 25-cent face value. That's the reality for most ordinary examples. A proof example or exceptionally preserved uncirculated specimen can have additional collector interest depending on its grade and condition. But truly significant premiums generally require something special, such as an exceptional certified grade, a recognized variety, or a genuine and significant mint error. And that is where the value can potentially rise much higher than face value. The exact value depends on the individual coin. There is no magic number that applies to every 2015 P Saratoga quarter. So don't judge your coin based only on a headline or an online seller's asking price. Look for actual evidence. Verify the exact variety. Confirm the error. Consider professional grading. And compare genuine market sales when possible. Because an asking price and a real selling price are two completely different things. Now think about your own collection. Where is your 2015 Saratoga quarter? Maybe it's inside a proof set. Maybe it's in America, the beautiful quarter album. Maybe it's sitting in a coin jar. Maybe it's inside an old drawer. Maybe you inherited it from someone who collected U.S. coins. Or maybe you've already spent dozens of them without ever taking a close look. That's why this hobby can be so fascinating. You don't need to own an ancient coin to enjoy the hunt. You can start with modern U.S. quarters. You can search Washington quarters. You can search state quarters. You can search America, the beautiful quarters. You can look for mint errors. You can search for high-grade coins. And you can learn how condition and rarity influence value. The more you learn, the better your eyes become. At first, everything looks the same. Then you start seeing differences. Then you start recognizing patterns. Then you start understanding what collectors are actually looking for. And eventually, you may look at a coin and notice something that another person completely missed. That knowledge is your real advantage. So before you spend a 2015 Saratoga quarter, stop. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Inspect the portrait. Study the reverse. Check the surfaces. Check the rim. Check the edge. Look for legitimate minting abnormalities. And if something seems unusual, don't clean it and don't rush to sell it. Protect it. Research it. Authenticate it. Because you never know when an ordinary-looking quarter could become an extraordinary collecting story. The 2015 Saratoga quarter isn't automatically a fortune, but a particular example can become much more interesting when exceptional condition, rarity, a recognized variety, or a genuine mint error enters the picture. And that's why you should never ignore your coins. Because the coin you're looking for might not be the oldest coin in your collection. It might not be the shiniest coin. It might not even look special at first. It could be the coin you almost spent. And perhaps that's what makes rare coin collecting so exciting. You never know what you're going to find until you look. So check your old US mint-proof sets. Check your coin albums. Check your boxes. Check your drawers. Check your change. And especially check those coins you've been ignoring for years. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries begin with one simple decision. Take another look. If you enjoyed this rare coin treasure hunt, please like this video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more valuable US coins, rare quarters, Washington quarters, America the beautiful quarters, proof coins, mint errors, coin values, and coins worth money. And don't forget to leave a comment. Tell us if you have a 2015 Saratoga quarter in your collection, and tell us whether yours came from a proof set or another US mint collection. Thanks for watching, and remember, never underestimate the small coins sitting around you. Because sometimes, the coin that looks like only 25 cents can become the coin that makes you stop and say, wait, maybe I should have looked at this much sooner. Keep searching, keep learning, protect your coins, and never stop looking for hidden treasures. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next rare coin treasure hunt. Have you ever looked at a 1965 Washington quarter and wondered why some ordinary-looking coins can become serious collector pieces while others are worth little more than their face value? Now imagine opening an old US Mint collection and seeing a 1965 quarter that has been protected for decades. You pick it up. You look at the date. 1965. Then you start thinking about what that date actually means. This isn't just another Washington quarter. 1965 was the first year of the United States copper-nickel-clad quarter era, following the silver quarters of 1964 and earlier. And that one-year transition makes 1965 an incredibly interesting date for coin collectors. But there is something even more important you need to know. If someone tells you that every 1965 Washington quarter from a proof set is automatically worth thousands of dollars, stop right there. Don't believe the hype. The real treasure is hidden in the details. And today, we're going to look at exactly what makes the 1965 Washington quarter interesting, what collectors search for, why proof examples matter, what errors and varieties can change the story, and what you should check before deciding whether your coin is ordinary or potentially valuable. Think about the year 1965 for a moment. America was changing rapidly. The country was in the middle of the 1960s. New technology was transforming everyday life. American culture was changing. In the United States, mint was dealing with an enormous coin shortage. Silver prices had risen. People were holding on to silver coins. And the government needed a new way to produce quarters, dimes, and half dollars without relying on the traditional silver composition. That led to one of the biggest changes in modern U.S. coinage. The 1965 Washington quarter became part of the new copper-nickel-clad era. The familiar Washington portrait remained. The quarter denomination remained. But the composition changed. Instead of the traditional 90% silver composition used on earlier Washington quarters, The 1965 quarter used a copper-nickel outer layer bonded to a copper core. And that change is one of the reasons collectors pay special attention to 1965, because this coin sits directly at the beginning of a major transition in American coinage. Now here's where the treasure hunting psychology begins. When you know a coin marks an important transition, your brain naturally wants to know, could mine be one of the special ones? Maybe it was preserved better than most. Maybe it has an unusual strike. Maybe it has a genuine mint error. Maybe it is a rare transitional piece. Maybe it was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. Maybe it came from a special collector issue. And suddenly, the coin in your hand becomes much more interesting. That curiosity is exactly what keeps coin collectors searching. You can look through dozens of ordinary quarters and find nothing. Then one coin catches your eye. You stop. You turn it over. You inspect the edge. You compare the weight. And suddenly your heart starts beating a little faster. Could this be the coin? That's the emotional side of coin collecting. The possibility of discovery. The possibility that someone else overlooked something you noticed. And with 1965 quarters, that feeling is especially powerful because the year represents the beginning of the clad era. Now look carefully at the coin. On the obverse, you have the familiar portrait of George Washington. You'll see liberty. You'll see I in God we trust. And you'll see the date, 1965. On the reverse is the American eagle surrounded by United States of America, e pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. The design may look familiar, but the metal underneath that design tells a different story from earlier silver Washington quarters. This is where the edge becomes extremely useful. Look at the side of your 1965 quarter. Because the coin is clad, you may notice a copper-colored line or core along the edge. That can help distinguish it from the 90% silver quarters produced before the composition change. But here's where things get really interesting. Some collectors search for 1965 quarters that may have been struck on an incorrect planchet. And when a coin is struck on the wrong type of planchet, the results can be extraordinary. The weight may be wrong. The metal composition may be wrong. The appearance may be different. And the coin may have characteristics that make it dramatically more desirable. But this is exactly where you must be careful. A coin that looks silver isn't automatically a rare 1965 silver quarter. A coin can become discolored. It can be plated. It can be altered. It can be damaged. And a photograph online isn't enough to prove what you're holding. If you suspect your 1965 quarter has an unusual composition, weight, or planchet, professional authentication can be extremely important, because a genuine mint error and a damaged coin can look surprisingly similar to an inexperienced collector. Now, let's talk about the proof set. If your 1965 quarter came from a proof set, that is an important clue about the coin's origin. Proof coins were specially manufactured for collectors. They were produced using special preparation and striking methods designed to create sharper details and attractive surfaces. But there's a major problem with the phrase "from a proof set." People sometimes hear those words and immediately think rare. That's not necessarily true. A coin being from a proof set does not automatically make it a fortune. The exact issue matters. The condition matters. The authenticity matters. The grade matters. And any unusual error or variety matters. So don't look at the proof set and immediately start imagining a massive payday. Instead, let the proof set tell you where the coin came from. Then inspect the coin itself. Look closely at the fields. Study the lettering. Look at Washington's portrait. Inspect the date. Look at the reverse. Examine the surfaces for hairlines, scratches, contact marks, spots, or signs of cleaning. And pay special attention to the edge. Because with a 1965 quarter, the edge can tell you something important about the coin's composition. Now, imagine you find a 1965 quarter that doesn't look right. Maybe the edge appears unusual. Maybe the coin seems heavier than expected. Maybe it has a strange color. Maybe the strike seems different. Your first reaction might be, this must be the rare one. Slow down. This is where knowledge matters. The smartest coin collectors don't immediately assume they found a fortune. They investigate. They measure. They compare. They research. And when necessary, they get professional authentication. Because the goal isn't to convince yourself that your coin is rare. The goal is to find out whether it actually is. That's a huge difference. Now let's talk about condition. Condition can completely change how collectors view a modern coin. Imagine a 1965 quarter that spent years circulating. It was carried in pockets, dropped onto concrete, thrown into vending machines, mixed with thousands of other coins. The surfaces became scratched. The high points became worn. The edges picked up marks. Now compare that with a carefully preserved example. The details are sharp. The surfaces are original. The coin has excellent eye appeal. The fields are attractive. The design is crisp. Collectors will naturally pay more attention to the better preserved example. And when a coin reaches an exceptional certified grade, that scarcity at the top can become very important. Because there may be thousands of 1965 quarters, but there are far fewer coins that survive in truly exceptional condition. That is the psychology of scarcity. People want what they can't easily obtain. And collectors are no different. They may already own an ordinary example, but they may still want the best example. That's why high-grade modern coins can sometimes surprise people. Now imagine the opposite. What if your 1965 quarter has been cleaned? Maybe someone polished it decades ago. Maybe the surface has unnatural shine. Maybe you see fine hairline scratches. Maybe the coin has been dipped or chemically altered. That can hurt collector appeal. This is why you should never clean a potentially valuable coin. Don't polish it. Don't scrub it. Don't use silver cleaner. Don't use toothpaste. Don't use household chemicals. If you believe the coin is valuable, leave it alone. Original surfaces can be far more important than making an old coin look shiny. Now let's return to the most exciting possibility. A genuine 1965 error. This is where coin hunters can become extremely focused. Mint errors can occur when something goes wrong during production. Wrong planchet, off-center strike, broad strike, clip planchet, double design elements, debreaks, other legitimate minting abnormalities. But not every unusual coin is an error. This is one of the most important lessons for anyone searching for rare coins worth money. Damage is not rarity. A scratch is not automatically an error. A dent is not automatically an error. A coin flattened by machinery is not automatically valuable. And a coin someone deliberately altered isn't a mint error. The most desirable errors are generally those that can be confirmed as genuine mint-made abnormalities. So if you believe you've discovered something unusual, take photographs, compare the coin with authenticated examples, and consider professional evaluation. Now, let's imagine the discovery moment. You're going through an old collection. You weren't even expecting anything special. Maybe you're just organizing coins. You see a 1965 Washington quarter. You almost put it back. Then something catches your eye. You look at the edge. You look at the date. You check the surfaces. You weigh it. The result makes you curious. You compare it with another 1965 quarter. Now you're not sure. You search for information. You find that 1965 was the first year of the clad quarter era. You learn about silver composition. You learn about transitional errors. You learn about wrong planchet strikes. And suddenly, that little quarter becomes the most interesting coin in your collection. That's how treasure hunting works. The discovery doesn't begin when someone tells you the price. It begins when you realize you don't know what you have. That moment of uncertainty creates curiosity, and curiosity leads to research. Research leads to knowledge, and knowledge can sometimes lead to value. Now here's another important point. Don't let internet price claims control your expectations. You may see headlines saying, 1965 quarter worth thousands, or 1965 silver quarter worth millions, or check your change, rare quarter found. These headlines are designed to create excitement. But a headline isn't an appraisal. The exact coin matters. The exact error matters. The exact grade matters. And confirmed sales matter. If someone asks a huge price for a coin online, that doesn't mean the coin sold for that amount. Always distinguish between an asking price and an actual realized price. This is especially important with modern U.S. coin values. Now let's talk about the historical side again. The 1965 quarter is fascinating because it represents a turning point. For decades, American quarters had been made primarily from silver. Then the monetary system changed. The 1965 quarter became part of a new clad era. That means this coin is connected to a major change in U.S. coinage. And that's why collectors continue to study the date. It's not just a random year. It's a transition year. It's a beginning. And beginnings are always interesting to collectors. Now, if you have a 1965 quarter from a proof set, examine it carefully. Don't assume it is valuable simply because it was preserved. Instead, ask, is it genuinely a proof? What is its condition? Are the surfaces original? Does it have any unusual characteristics? Does the edge look normal? Is the weight consistent with the expected specification? Does the coin show signs of alteration? Could there be a genuine mint error? And if something doesn't look right, can it be professionally authenticated? Those questions are much more useful than simply asking, how much is it worth? Because you can't accurately discuss value until you know exactly what the coin is. And that is the secret many new collectors don't understand. Identification comes before valuation. First, identify, then authenticate, then grade, then research the market, then talk about value. That's the professional way to approach rare coins. Now comes the question you've probably been waiting for. How much could a 1965 Washington quarter be worth? Most ordinary circulated 1965 quarters are not rare fortunes and generally remain around face value. Even many proof examples are not automatically worth huge amounts simply because they came from a proof set. But exceptional examples can be a different story. A high-grade proof, an unusual certified variety, or a genuine major mint error can carry a significant premium. And an authenticated wrong planchet or other major minting error can potentially move into a much higher price category, depending on rarity, condition, demand, and the specific characteristics of the coin. That's why you should never assign a huge value to a 1965 quarter just because it is old from a proof set or looks unusual. The exact coin determines the value. And that is what makes the treasure hunt so exciting. Maybe your coin is ordinary. Maybe it's a beautiful collectible. Maybe it's a high-grade proof. Maybe it has an unusual characteristic. Or maybe you've discovered something that deserves professional authentication. You won't know until you look. So check your old U.S. mint proof sets. Check your coin albums. Check inherited collections. Check those boxes that have been sitting untouched for decades. And when you find a 1965 Washington quarter, don't just look at the front. Turn it over. Look at the edge. Study the surfaces. Compare it with another example. Because the most important clue may be somewhere you weren't even looking. And remember, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't scratch it. Don't alter it. Protect it. Research it. And if you think you've found a major rarity, get professional advice. Because there's a huge difference between believing you have a valuable coin and proving that you have one. And if you can prove it, that's when the excitement becomes real. Imagine holding a professionally authenticated 1965 quarter and knowing that it isn't just another quarter. It's a piece of the beginning of America's clad coin era. It's a survivor from a major turning point in U.S. monetary history. And if it has a rare characteristic or extraordinary grade, it could also be a coin that serious collectors want. That's why you should never underestimate the small coins in your collection. The 1965 Washington quarter may look ordinary, but its history is anything but ordinary. It marks the beginning of a new chapter in American coinage. It carries the familiar image of George Washington. It represents a major change in the metal composition of U.S. quarters. And in rare cases, a particular 1965 example can become a fascinating and potentially valuable collectible. So before you spend one, before you throw one into a coin jar, before you assume it's worthless, take another look. Check the date. Check the surfaces. Check the edge. Check the weight, if appropriate. Check whether it's a genuine proof. Look for legitimate mint errors. And above all, learn what makes your specific coin different. Because sometimes the difference between 25 cents and serious collector value isn't obvious. Sometimes it's hidden in the metal. Sometimes it's hidden in the condition. Sometimes it's hidden in the strike. And sometimes it's hidden in a tiny detail that almost everyone else missed. That's the magic of rare coin collecting. You never know what the next coin will reveal. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1965 Washington quarter, please like this video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more valuable U.S. coins, rare quarters, Washington quarters, proof coins, mint errors, silver coins, coin collecting tips, and coins worth money. And don't forget to leave a comment. Tell us if you have a 1965 Washington quarter in your collection. Is yours from a proof set? Does it have an unusual appearance? Have you ever checked the edge? And have you ever wondered whether you might have a rare 1965 quarter hiding in your collection? Thanks for watching. Keep searching. Keep learning. Never clean a potentially valuable coin. And never underestimate the power of looking one more time. Because the next rare coin discovery might not be hiding in a museum. It might be sitting quietly in your own collection. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next rare coin treasure hunt. Have you ever looked at a 1966 Washington quarter and thought it was just another old coin worth 25 cents? What if I told you that some collectors look much more closely at coins from this era because tiny differences in condition, strike quality, errors, varieties, and preservation can completely change what a coin is worth? And what makes the 1966 quarter especially interesting is that it comes from one of the most important periods in modern U.S. coinage history. The 1966 Washington quarter may look ordinary at first glance, but when you start examining the details, you discover a fascinating story involving the United States Mint, the silver crisis, changing coin compositions, proof coins, minting technology, and the world of rare coin collecting. And if your coin came from a proof set or has exceptional preservation, you may have something collectors are willing to examine very carefully. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. By 1966, the quarter had already been part of American pocket change for more than 3 decades. But this was not an ordinary year for American coins. The United States was dealing with a major shortage of silver, and the rising price of silver was creating enormous pressure on the nation's coinage system. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were traditionally made with a high percentage of silver. But beginning in 1965, the United States Mint moved the quarter to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That change makes 1966 an especially interesting year for collectors. A 1966 Washington quarter is generally a copper-nickel-clad coin, not the traditional 90% silver quarter that collectors associate with earlier Washington quarters. That single fact is incredibly important when you're trying to identify and understand a 1966 quarter. And here is where the story becomes even more interesting. Many people assume that every old quarter must contain silver, simply because it looks silver-colored. But appearance alone cannot tell you the composition. A 1966 quarter needs to be identified by its date, physical characteristics, edge, weight, and overall condition. Look carefully at the edge of the coin. A copper nickel-clad quarter normally shows a distinctive copper-colored core between the outer layers. This is one of the easiest ways to separate a modern clad quarter from an older silver Washington quarter. Now turn your attention to the front of the coin. You will see the famous portrait of George Washington facing left. Around the design are inscriptions including Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1966. Every one of these details can help you determine whether the coin is genuine, properly struck, and potentially interesting to collectors. But don't stop there. Flip the coin over and examine the reverse. You will find the American eagle with outstretched wings, surrounded by United States of America, e pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. For an ordinary circulated example, these details may show signs of wear from decades of handling. But when a coin has been preserved in extraordinary condition, the difference can be dramatic. This is one of the biggest secrets of coin collecting. Age alone does not automatically make a coin valuable. A coin can be 60 years old and still be worth only a modest amount if millions of similar examples survive in ordinary circulated condition. But a coin with extraordinary preservation, a rare minting error, an unusual variety, or exceptional grading can become much more interesting. And that is exactly why serious collectors examine coins under magnification. They aren't simply looking for an old date. They are looking for something unusual. They look for double design elements, unusual strikes, die problems, off-center strikes, clip planchets, missing details, die cracks, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, unusual surfaces, and other minting abnormalities. However, there is an important warning. Not every strange-looking mark is a valuable mint error. A scratch caused after the coin left the mint is damage. A dent from circulation is damage. A flattened area caused by another object hitting the coin is usually damage. Environmental discoloration is not automatically a rare variety. True mint errors happen during the manufacturing process, and proving that difference can be extremely important. This is why collectors compare questionable coins with known examples, and, for valuable pieces, may seek professional authentication and grading. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting possibilities surrounding a 1966 quarter exceptional condition. Imagine two 1966 Washington quarters sitting next to each other. The first one has been in circulation for decades. It has scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, worn lettering, and evidence of heavy handling. The second coin looks almost untouched. The surfaces are remarkably clean. The design details are sharp. The original luster remains visible. The coin has very few distracting marks. Even though both coins have exactly the same date, their collector appeal can be dramatically different. This is why condition matters so much. Professional grading companies examine coins according to standardized grading systems, and high-grade examples can attract serious attention when they are scarce at the highest levels. A coin that looks perfect to the naked eye may not actually be perfect under magnification. Tiny contact marks can make a major difference. A small scratch across Washington's cheek can matter. Marks in the open field can matter. Weak strike details can matter. And even the overall eye appeal can influence how collectors perceive the coin. So if you have a 1966 Washington quarter that looks unusually beautiful, don't immediately clean it. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. They see an old coin with dark toning or discoloration and think, I'll polish this and make it look brand new. That can actually reduce collector appeal. Cleaning can leave hairlines and unnatural surfaces that experienced collectors recognize immediately. A coin's original surfaces are often much more important than making it look shiny. So if you discover an unusual 1966 quarter, handle it carefully by the edges and avoid rubbing or polishing the surfaces. Now let's talk about another fascinating part of the 1966 story, mint marks. You might naturally look for AD or S mint mark beneath Washington's portrait. But the 1966 quarter does not carry a traditional mint mark. This is connected to the United States Mint's decision during the coin shortage era to remove mint marks from certain circulating denominations. That means you should not assume that a 1966 quarter without a mint mark is automatically rare. This is a very important point because online coin videos sometimes create confusion around missing mint marks. For the 1966 Washington quarter, the absence of a mint mark is normal. So if someone tells you that every 1966 quarter without a mint mark is a rare error, be extremely careful. The real treasure hunt is about understanding the entire coin, its condition, strike, surfaces, errors, varieties, provenance, and authentication. And now let's come to the proof set connection. Proof coins are specially produced coins made primarily for collectors. They are struck using specially prepared dies and planchets, generally with greater care than ordinary circulation strikes. Modern proof coins are often recognized by their highly reflective fields and sharply defined designs. A genuine proof example can have a very different appearance from a normal business strike. But there is another important detail. The year 1966 is part of the unusual period when the United States Mint did not issue its standard proof sets in the same way collectors had seen in earlier years. That is why terminology matters. If you have a coin described online as a 1966 proof quarter, don't simply trust the description. Study the coin. Look at the surfaces. Look at the strike. Look at the reflectivity. Look at the design details. Compare it with authenticated examples. And if the coin appears genuinely unusual, professional evaluation can be worthwhile. Now imagine discovering a 1966 Washington quarter that has survived for decades in extraordinary condition. It has been protected from circulation. It has strong original surfaces. It has excellent detail. It has attractive eye appeal. And perhaps it has a genuine minting anomaly that was created before the coin ever reached the public. That combination is what can turn an ordinary-looking piece of pocket change into something far more interesting. The exciting part of coin collecting is that you don't always need an ancient coin to find something fascinating. Sometimes the treasure is hiding in a coin that your grandparents could have handled. Sometimes it is sitting inside an old collection. Sometimes it is in a forgotten box. Sometimes it is in a coin album. And sometimes it can even appear in a group of coins that someone thought were completely ordinary. But before you start imagining a fortune, remember one crucial rule. Value must be based on evidence. A coin's date alone does not make it worth thousands of dollars. A coin's age alone does not make it rare. And a claim on social media does not establish a market value. The most valuable examples are usually supported by strong evidence, such as recognized varieties, documented mint errors, exceptional certified grades, or auction records. This is why collectors search for phrases like rare 1966 quarter, 1966 Washington quarter value, 1966 quarter worth money, valuable Washington quarters, rare U.S. coins, coins worth money, rare coins worth thousands, Washington quarter errors, mint error coins, high-grade Washington quarters, and valuable quarters to look for. These searches can lead you into a huge world of numismatics. But the real skill is learning how to separate genuine rarity from ordinary damage. So, if you have a 1966 quarter right now, take a close look. Check the date. Check the surfaces. Check the edge. Check the lettering. Check the eagle. Check Washington's portrait. Look for unusual doubling or strange design features. Look for evidence of a genuine minting error rather than post-mint damage. And most importantly, compare your coin with trustworthy references and professionally graded examples before assuming you have discovered fortune. Because the most exciting moment in coin collecting isn't necessarily when someone tells you your coin is valuable. It is the moment you discover something unusual yourself. A little piece of American history can suddenly become a mystery. Why does this coin look different? Why is this detail doubled? Why does the strike look unusual? Why are the surfaces so incredibly preserved? And could this be one of the scarce examples collectors have been searching for? That is the psychology behind a coin hunt. Every old coin becomes a potential treasure. Every quarter becomes something worth checking. And every collection can contain a piece that nobody realized was special. The 1966 Washington quarter may have started its life as a simple 25-cent piece, but decades later, certain examples can attract the attention of collectors because of condition, errors, varieties, and unusual characteristics. And that is why you should never judge an old coin only by its face value. As for the potential value of a 1966 Washington quarter, ordinary circulated examples generally do not bring enormous prices. But exceptional specimens, recognized errors, unusual varieties, and top-grade certified examples can command substantially more, depending on exactly what makes the coin special. For the most desirable examples discussed by collectors, values can potentially reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars, while an extraordinary certified example with a truly significant rarity can attract much stronger interest. The exact value depends on authentication, grade, rarity, eye appeal, and the current collector market. So before spending your old coins, check them carefully. That 1966 quarter in your collection might be ordinary, or it might have a characteristic that makes collectors stop and take a second look. You won't know until you inspect it. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare American coins, make sure you like this video, share it with another coin collector, and subscribe to the channel for more videos about rare coins, valuable coins, old U.S. coins, Washington quarters, mint errors, coin values, and hidden treasures that could be sitting in collections right now. And don't forget to leave a comment telling us whether you have ever found a 1966 Washington quarter, whether yours came from a collection or an old coin set, and what condition it is in. Thanks for watching, and please like, share, subscribe, and keep checking your coins. You never know when an ordinary-looking quarter could turn into an extraordinary discovery. Happy coin hunting, and thanks with love for watching. Top 6. Have you ever looked at 1986 Washington quarter and wondered if that ordinary-looking 25-cent coin could actually be worth serious money? What if the coin sitting inside an old collection, coin folder, or forgotten proof set has details that collectors are searching for? And what if the difference between a common quarter and a valuable example comes down to condition, strike quality, minting characteristics, and how well the coin was preserved for nearly 4 decades? Today, we're taking a close look at the United States of America, a 1986 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, especially the actual coin found in or associated with a proof set collection. And we're going to uncover what makes this date interesting to coin collectors, what you should check on the coin, and why high-grade examples can attract much more attention than ordinary circulated pieces. The 1986 Washington quarter belongs to an important period in modern United States coinage. By this time, the classic Washington quarter design had already been in production for more than 50 years. The coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, while the reverse displays the American bald eagle with outstretched wings. At first glance, the 1986 quarter may look like just another modern coin, but serious collectors know that the date, mint mark, condition, strike, surfaces, and overall preservation can make a dramatic difference when determining collectible value. And this is exactly where the 1986 P Washington quarter becomes interesting. The P Mint mark identifies the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint struck an enormous number of Washington quarters during this era, and the 1986 P issue had a reported mintage of 551,199,333 coins. That number tells us something extremely important. This is not a rare coin simply because it carries the date 1986. There were hundreds of millions of 1986 Philadelphia quarters produced, meaning ordinary examples are generally common. But coin collecting is not always about how many coins were originally made. It's also about how many survive today in exceptional condition. And That is where the treasure hunt begins. Imagine finding a 1986p quarter that has been protected for decades with almost no contact, almost no scratches, brilliant original luster, sharp details, and an exceptionally strong strike. Instead of being treated like ordinary pocket change, a coin like that can become a condition rarity. This is one of the biggest secrets beginners discover when they enter the world of rare coins. Two coins can have exactly the same date and mint mark, yet their values can be dramatically different because one coin is heavily worn while the other has survived in extraordinary condition. The 1986p Washington quarter was made from copper-nickel clad composition, with a copper core surrounded by a copper-nickel outer layer. It has the familiar reeded edge and the standard Washington quarter dimensions of approximately 24.30 millimeters in diameter and 5.67 grams in weight. So if you have one of these coins in your hands, don't immediately assume that every 1986p quarter is valuable. Instead, start hunting for quality. Look closely at Washington's hair. Examine the cheek. Check the fields around the portrait. Look at the lettering. Then turn the coin over and carefully inspect the eagle, the feathers, the lettering, and the open fields around the design. The first thing collectors want to know is whether the coin has significant wear. A circulated quarter can develop scratches, contact marks, discoloration, dull surfaces, and other signs of everyday use. These coins may still be interesting for a collection, but they generally don't command the same premiums as exceptionally preserved examples. Now imagine a completely different 1986p quarter. The surfaces are bright. The original mint luster is still visible. The details are sharp. The fields are clean. The cheek has very few distracting marks. The eagle's feathers remain crisp. The lettering is strong. Suddenly, we're talking about a very different type of collectible. This is why coin grading is so important. Professional grading companies evaluate coins according to their condition and assign numerical grades. On the mint state scale, coins can receive grade from MS60 through MS70, with higher grades representing increasingly exceptional preservation. For the 1986p Washington quarter, Peace GS lists values that rise significantly as the grade increases. Its current price guide shows approximately $20 at MS66, $85 at MS67, and much higher figures for exceptional MS68 examples. And PCGS Coinfax records an auction result of $2,880 for a 1986p Washington quarter graded MS67, sold by Heritage Auctions in June 2019. That is the kind of number that gets collectors excited. But there is an important lesson here. You should never look at a record auction price and assume every coin of the same date is worth that amount. Auction records represent specific coins in specific grades and specific circumstances. A coin with heavy circulation cannot automatically be valued like a professionally graded high-end example. This is why condition matters so much. And if your 1986p quarter came from a proof set, there is another important detail you need to understand. The official proof Washington quarter from 1986 was struck at the San Francisco Mint and carries an S mint mark, not AP. Sources list the 1986 S Washington quarter as the proof issue, with a mintage of about 3,010,497. So if you have an actual 1986 quarter with a P mint mark, it is important to distinguish it from the 1986 S proof quarter. This distinction can prevent a major mistake. A genuine 1986p quarter and a 1986 S proof quarter are not the same issue. The P mint mark points to Philadelphia. The S mint mark identifies the San Francisco proof issue. And the Philadelphia 1986 quarter was produced as a regular circulation strike, not as the standard 1986 proof issue. That means if someone is selling a coin described as a 1986p proof quarter, you should carefully investigate exactly what the coin is before paying a premium. Don't trust a dramatic listing title. Trust the coin. Trust the mint mark. trust the physical characteristics. And when the potential value becomes significant, trust professional authentication and grading. Now, let's talk about errors. This is another area where collectors become extremely interested. A normal 1986p quarter may be common, but a genuine mint error can potentially change the story completely. When examining your coin, look for unusual characteristics such as major off-center striking, broad strikes, clipped planchets, unusual die problems, dramatic doubling, missing design elements, or other abnormalities that can be verified as genuine minting errors. But here's the warning. Not every strange-looking coin is an error. Damage can happen after the coin leaves the mint. Coins can be scratched, bent, polished, chemically altered, exposed to heat, struck by machinery, or damaged through years of circulation. A coin with damage is not automatically a rare mint error. This is why experienced collectors look for evidence of how the unusual feature was created. A genuine mint error must make sense from the minting process. And major, authentic errors can be much more desirable than ordinary damaged coins. Another thing to examine is the mint mark itself. And this creates an interesting situation for collectors. You might have hundreds of millions of coins produced, but only a much smaller number that survive at the very top of the grading scale. That's why condition rarity is such a powerful concept in modern coin collecting. The 1986p quarter is actually a great example of this principle. The original mintage was huge, but high-grade survivors can still bring meaningful premiums. PCGS currently lists the 1986p quarter at approximately $1,500 around MS68 and $3,000 at MS68 Plus in its price guide, demonstrating how dramatically the market can change at the highest grades. Those numbers are not guarantees of what your coin will sell for. Actual market prices depend on certification, IAPL, population, auction demand, timing, and the exact condition of the individual coin. But they demonstrate something fascinating. A quarter that started with a face value of 25 cents can, under the right circumstances, become a serious collectible. And that is exactly why people continue searching through old coin collections. They aren't necessarily looking for a coin that is rare, because almost none were made. Sometimes they're looking for the coin that survived better than almost all of its neighbors. So what should you do if you discover a beautiful 1986p Washington quarter? First, don't clean it. This is extremely important. Never polish a potentially valuable coin just because you think you can make it look brighter. Cleaning can leave hairlines, unnatural surfaces, and other problems that professional graders can recognize immediately. A naturally preserved coin is usually far more desirable than a clean coin. Instead, hold the coin carefully by its edges. Use good lighting. Look at both sides. Use magnification if necessary. Check the date. Check the P mint mark. Study the surfaces. Look for wear. Look for major errors. And compare the coin with professionally graded examples. If the coin appears unusually pristine, has an unusual minting characteristic, or seems significantly better than typical examples, professional evaluation may be worthwhile. And here's another fascinating part of the story. The 1986 Washington quarter was created during a period when the classic eagle reverse design was still being used. That traditional reverse would continue until 1998, before the United States entered the famous 50-state quarters era beginning in 1999. So the 1986 quarter represents an earlier chapter of modern American coinage. For collectors, that history adds another layer of interest. You are not simply holding 25 cents. You're holding a small piece of American monetary history from the 1980s. And if that coin survived in remarkable condition, it can become even more fascinating. Now comes the question everyone wants answered. How much could your 1986p Washington quarter actually be worth? The honest answer is that there is no single value for every coin. A heavily circulated example may be worth around face value. A nice uncirculated example can bring more. A high-grade certified example can be worth substantially more. And an exceptional coin at the very top of the grading scale can potentially enter the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, as documented market records show. So don't throw your 1986p quarter into a jar just because it looks ordinary. Take a second look. Look at the condition. Look at the surfaces. Look at the strike. Look at the mint mark. Look for genuine errors. And most importantly, don't confuse a common coin with an exceptionally preserved coin. That single question can turn an ordinary coin search into a fascinating journey through American numismatics. And if you're lucky enough to discover a truly exceptional 1986p Washington quarter, the value could be far beyond the 25 cents stamped on its face. At the extreme high end, documented examples have reached around $2,880 at auction, while current PCGS guide levels for exceptional certified grades can reach into the thousands. So before you spend that old quarter, before you toss it into a change jar, and before you assume it's worthless, take another look. Because sometimes the most exciting coins aren't the ones that look ancient. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight. And sometimes the difference between ordinary pocket change and a valuable collectible is nothing more than condition, rarity, and knowing exactly what to look for. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you discover something new about the 1986p Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this rare coin hunt, please like the video, share it with other coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video about rare coins, valuable quarters, rare pennies, Jefferson nickels, silver coins, mint errors, coin values, and United States coins worth money. And don't forget to check your own collection, because your next valuable coin could already be sitting right in front of you. Thanks for watching, happy coin hunting, and good luck finding the next rare American coin worth money. Top 7. What if a quarter that looks completely ordinary could be hiding a value far greater than 25 cents? What if the real secret isn't the date alone, but the tiny P mint mark, the condition of the coin, the quality of the strike, and the fact that very few examples survive in truly exceptional condition? Today we're going deep into one of the most interesting modern Washington quarters for collectors, the United States of America 1982p Washington quarter. This is the kind of coin that can easily be overlooked. You might find one in an old coin collection, a forgotten jar of change, an inherited collection, a bankroll, or an old group of coins that has been sitting untouched for decades. And that's exactly why you need to know what you're looking at. The 1982p Washington quarter is not automatically rare simply because it is from 1982. Philadelphia struck a very large number of Washington quarters that year. But modern coin collecting has a fascinating secret. A coin can be common in ordinary condition and surprisingly difficult to find in exceptional condition. That difference is where the serious collector interest begins. Before we talk about the potential value, let's identify the coin correctly. The 1982p Washington quarter carries the famous portrait of George Washington on the obverse. Washington faces left, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1982. The tiny letter P can be found on the obverse, near the bottom of Washington's portrait. That little P is extremely important. It tells you that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over and you see the classic eagle reverse design for the Washington Quarter Series, with the American bald eagle spreading its wings and surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, quarter dollar, and other inscriptions. This familiar design makes the 1982 quarter instantly recognizable to generations of American coin collectors. But here's where things get interesting. The 1982p Washington quarter is a regular circulation strike. If you're seeing a listing or video claiming that every 1982p quarter was a proof set coin, be careful. The standard 1982 proof Washington quarter is the San Francisco issue with an S mint mark. So if you have an actual 1982 quarter carrying AP mint mark, you're dealing with the Philadelphia circulation strike issue, even if your particular coin was later placed in a collection, set, holder, or presentation package. That distinction matters because collectors don't just look at how a seller describes coin. They look at the coin itself, the date, the mint mark, the surfaces, the strike, the grade, and the evidence. Now let's talk about why this quarter can become much more interesting than its face value. The 1982p Washington quarter was struck in the copper-nickel-clad composition used for Washington quarters of this era. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures about 24.3 millimeters across, with a familiar reeded edge. On paper, that sounds like a very ordinary quarter, and millions of them were ordinary. But imagine opening an old collection and finding one that looks dramatically different from the others. The coin is bright. The fields are clean. The original mint luster is still present. Washington's hair has sharp detail. His cheek has very few distracting contact marks. The lettering is crisp. The eagle's feathers are strong. The coin looks almost untouched. That is when your eyes should get bigger. Because condition is one of the biggest reasons collectors become interested in 1982p Washington quarters. According to the current PCGS price guide, values for the 1982p issue increase significantly at higher mint state grades, reaching hundreds of dollars in very high grades and a listed level of around $9,000 at the extreme MS68 plus level. Now, don't misunderstand that number. It does not mean every 1982p quarter in your change jar is worth $9,000. Absolutely not. That is the kind of mistake that can turn an exciting coin hunt into a misleading story. The important point is that the market can place a dramatic premium on exceptionally high-grade examples. And that's what makes this coin so fascinating. This is called condition rarity. And once you understand condition rarity, modern coin collecting becomes much more exciting. Think about the journey of a quarter. The mint produces it. The coin is transported. It may be counted, packaged, stored, shipped, distributed, placed into cash registers, carried in pockets, dropped onto tables, mixed with thousands of other coins, and eventually spent. Every one of those steps creates opportunities for contact marks, scratches, scuffs, dulling, and damage. So even if a coin started its life looking perfect, it may not remain that way. That's why finding an older quarter with exceptional surfaces can be much harder than you might expect. And this is where the 1982p Washington quarter becomes a treasure hunting coin. PCGS currently shows a population of hundreds of certified 1982p examples across its mint state grades, with only a tiny number reaching the highest grades. That tells us something very important. You don't necessarily need a coin that had a tiny original mintage. Sometimes you need a coin that survived unusually well. Now take a close look at your 1982p quarter. Start with Washington's cheek. This area can reveal contact marks very quickly. Look at the open fields around the portrait. Are there scratches? Are there clusters of tiny marks? Does the coin look dull? Or does it still show strong original mint luster? Next, examine Washington's hair. A strong strike should preserve good detail in the design. Then look carefully at the lettering. Check Liberty. Check I In God We Trust. Check the date. And don't forget that tiny P mint mark. You want to make sure you're actually looking at a genuine P mint mark and not damage or an alteration. Then flip the coin over. The reverse is just as important. Study the eagle. Look at the feathers. Look at the wing details. Examine the fields around the eagle. Look for contact marks, scratches, discoloration, spots, and anything unusual. And now comes one of the most exciting parts. Errors. Collectors love genuine mint errors. A major minting error can transform an otherwise common coin into something much more desirable. When examining your 1982p quarter, look for unusual characteristics such as major off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die-related abnormalities, dramatic doubling, or other genuine mint-made errors. But you need to be extremely careful here. A damaged coin is not automatically an error. This is one of the biggest traps for new coin collectors. A quarter can become scratched, bent, gouged, flattened, discolored, polished, chemically altered, or damaged by machinery after leaving the mint. Those problems may look strange, but strange does not automatically mean rare. A genuine mint error has to make sense based on the manufacturing process. That is why professional authentication can become extremely important when the potential value is high. Another major mistake is cleaning. If you think you found a valuable 1982p quarter, do not polish it. Do not scrub it. Do not use chemicals. Cleaning can create hairlines and unnatural surfaces that can reduce the desirability of the coin. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges. Use good lighting. If you need magnification, use it gently. And compare your coin with professionally graded examples. Now let's talk about something that makes the 1982p quarter especially interesting. The early 1980s were a fascinating period for United States coinage. The classic Washington quarter design was still being produced decades before the enormous popularity of the 50-state quarters program that began in 1999. There were no colorful commemorative designs on ordinary quarters. There were no state themes. There was simply the traditional Washington portrait and American eagle design that collectors had known for generations. That gives the 1982 quarter a special place in the history of modern American coinage. You're holding a piece of the United States monetary system from more than 4 decades ago. And if that piece survived in extraordinary condition, its collector appeal becomes even stronger. Now here's where things get really interesting for anyone searching for valuable quarters. The value of a coin isn't determined by one factor. It can depend on date, mint mark, condition, rarity, errors, varieties, certification, appeal, and actual market demand. That's why 2 coins that look almost identical to an inexperienced collector can have completely different prices. One might be a circulated example worth little more than face value. Another might be an attractive, uncirculated coin worth several dollars. Another could be a high-grade certified example worth hundreds. And an exceptionally rare top-grade example can potentially reach thousands. PCGS's current guide for the 1982p Washington quarter lists approximate values ranging from the low single digits at lower mint state grades to much higher levels at the very top, with a listed MS68 plus value around $9,000. Again, that is a guide value, not a guaranteed selling price. The actual amount a coin brings at auction can be different. The market changes. Collectors compete differently for different coins. And certification matters enormously when you're talking about the highest grades. This is why you should never judge a potentially valuable coin only by looking at a random online listing. Look at completed sales. Look at the grade. Look at the certification. Look at the exact variety. And most importantly, look at the actual coin. A seller asking $10,000 does not mean the coin is worth $10,000. A viral video claiming a quarter is worth millions does not make it worth millions. Real value comes from the marketplace and from the characteristics of the specific coin. And that's the smarter way to hunt for rare coins. Don't chase unbelievable claims. Learn how to identify genuinely desirable coins. Now imagine you find a 1982p quarter that has been sitting untouched for decades. Maybe it came from an old collection. Maybe someone stored it away after buying it in the early 1980s. Maybe it was protected from circulation. Maybe it has remarkably clean surfaces. That is when you should stop and investigate. Because the date alone may not be enough. The P-Mint mark alone may not be enough. The fact that the coin is 40-plus years old may not be enough. But combine the correct date, the Philadelphia Mint mark, exceptional preservation, strong strike, attractive surfaces, and perhaps a legitimate mint error. And suddenly you're looking at a coin that deserves serious attention. This is the psychology behind successful coin hunting. Most people see 25 cents. Collectors see possibilities. Most people see an old quarter. Collectors inspect the date. Most people spend it. Collectors turn it over. They examine the mint mark. They inspect the surfaces. They compare it with known examples. And sometimes that extra 30 seconds can completely change the story. So if you have a 1982p Washington quarter, don't automatically assume it's a jackpot. But don't automatically assume it's worthless either. Check it. Study it. Protect it. And if it appears to be an exceptionally high-grade example or has a potentially genuine major error, consider having it examined by a reputable professional grading or authentication service. The biggest question is not simply, do I have a 1982 quarter? The real question is, what kind of 1982p quarter do I have? Is it circulated? Is it uncirculated? Is it beautifully preserved? Does it have strong eye appeal? Does it have unusual mint-made characteristics? And could it be one of those very high-grade survivors that collectors are willing to pay a premium to own? That is where the real treasure hunt begins. And now, after everything we've discovered, it's time for the number everyone has been waiting for. An ordinary circulated 1982p Washington quarter is generally not a life-changing coin, but exceptionally high-grade certified examples can be worth substantially more. Current PCGS guide levels reach approximately $9,000 for an MS68 Plus example, showing just how dramatic the difference can become at the very top of the grading scale. So before you spend your old quarters, before you throw them into a jar, and before you assume that a 1982p Washington quarter is just another piece of pocket change, take a second look. Check the date. Check the P mint mark. Check Washington's portrait. Check the eagle. Check the surfaces. Look for exceptional preservation. Look for genuine mint errors. And never clean a potentially valuable coin. Because the next time you find a 1982p Washington quarter, you might be holding something much more interesting than 25 cents. You might be holding a piece of American history that survived in extraordinary condition. And in the world of rare coins, sometimes the difference between an ordinary quarter and a valuable collectible is hidden in the smallest details. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this deep dive in a 1982p Washington quarter and its potential value. If you enjoyed this rare coin hunt, please like this video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video about rare coins, valuable quarters, rare pennies, Jefferson nickels, silver coins, mint errors, coin collecting, and United States coins worth money. And don't forget to check your own change, old collections, coin jars, and inherited coins. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, happy coin hunting, and good luck finding your next valuable American coin. Top 8. What if a quarter from 1984 is sitting somewhere in your collection right now, looking completely ordinary, while hiding a story that could make you look at your old coins very differently? What if that tiny P mint mark is the first clue to identifying exactly what you're holding? And what if the real excitement isn't finding a coin that is rare in everyday condition, but discovering an exceptionally preserved example that collectors have been searching for? Today, we're taking a serious look at the United States of America, a 1984p Washington quarter, a coin that has been around for more than 4 decades and is still capable of attracting attention from collectors, coin dealers, error hunters, and people searching for valuable coins worth money. Before you spend one, put it into a change jar, or assume it's worthless, take a closer look. Because the difference between an ordinary 1984 quarter and a highly desirable collectible can sometimes be hidden in details that most people never notice. The 1984 Washington quarter carries the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse. Washington faces left, with liberty above his head. In God we trust to the left, and the date 1984 at the bottom. And if you're looking specifically for the P issue, the small p mint mark is located on the obverse near the lower portion of Washington's portrait. That little letter tells us the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over and you'll find the traditional Washington quarter reverse featuring the American bald eagle with its wings spread wide. Around the eagle are United States of America, e pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. This is one of those classic American coin designs that millions of people have handled without ever stopping to think about its history. But collectors think differently. They don't simply ask what the face value is. They ask what year it is. Which mint produced it? What condition is it in? Does it have original surfaces? Is the strike strong? Are there unusual varieties or errors? And how many coins like it survive in the same condition? That last question can completely change the story. The 1984 P Washington quarter is not considered rare simply because of its date. Philadelphia produced a large number of these quarters for circulation, meaning ordinary circulated examples are generally common. But here's where the treasure hunt becomes much more interesting. A coin can be common overall and still be scarce in exceptionally high grades. Think about what happens to a quarter after it leaves the mint. It gets transported. It gets counted. It gets packaged. It gets distributed. It gets placed into cash registers. It gets carried in pockets. It gets dropped into drawers. It gets mixed with thousands of other coins. Every one of those steps can create contact marks, scratches, abrasions, dull surfaces, and other imperfections. After decades of circulation, many examples no longer look anything like the coins that originally left the mint. That's why a beautifully preserved 1984 P quarter can attract much more attention. Imagine holding one under a bright light. The surfaces are clean. The original mint luster is still glowing. Washington's cheek is remarkably smooth. His hair has strong detail. The lettering is crisp. The fields have very few distracting marks. The reverse is equally impressive. The eagle's feathers are sharply defined. The lettering is clean. The coin has excellent eye appeal. That is when you may have something worth investigating. This is the concept of condition rarity, and it's one of the most important ideas in modern coin collecting. The coin doesn't necessarily have to have a tiny original mintage to become interesting. Sometimes the real rarity comes from how few examples survived in exceptional condition. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a numerical scale, and high-grade mint state examples can command significant premiums over ordinary circulated coins. For the 1984 P Washington quarter, PCGS records show that high-grade examples can reach substantial values, with the finest certified examples being dramatically more valuable than typical coins. That is where collectors begin paying very close attention. But there is something extremely important you need to understand before getting excited about a huge price. Not every 1984 P quarter is valuable. A circulated 1984 P quarter found in everyday pocket change will generally not be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The extraordinary prices belong to extraordinary coins. This distinction is critical. If you search online, you'll find listings claiming that certain old quarters are worth enormous amounts of money. But an asking price is not the same thing as an actual sale. Anyone can list a coin for a huge number. Real coin values depend on factors such as condition, authentication, grading, rarity, demand, eye appeal, and actual market transactions. So when you're hunting for a valuable 1984 P Washington quarter, don't focus only on sensational claims. Learn what serious collectors are actually looking for. Start with the date. Make sure it really says 1984. Then find the P mint mark. Make sure the mint mark is genuine and hasn't been altered. After that, examine the entire coin. Don't look at only one side. The obverse matters. The reverse matters. The edge matters. The surfaces matter. And the overall appearance matters. Start with Washington's face. Look closely at the cheek and jaw. These areas can reveal contact marks very quickly. Then examine the open fields. Are there scratches? Are there clusters of tiny marks? Are there dull areas? Has the coin been cleaned? Or does it still have natural original luster? Next, inspect the hair and other raised details. A strong strike can make a major difference when you're comparing high-grade examples. Now turn the coin over. Study the eagle. Look at the feathers. Examine the wings. Check the fields around the design. Look carefully at the lettering. You're searching for anything unusual, but you're also judging the quality of the coin. And this brings us to one of the most exciting subjects in coin collecting: mint errors. A genuine mint error can potentially make a common coin dramatically more desirable. Collectors search for major off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, striking abnormalities, and other genuine errors created during the minting process. But don't fall into the trap of thinking every damaged coin is an error. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. A coin that was bent after leaving the mint is not automatically a mint error. A coin that was scratched by another object is not automatically a rare variety. A coin that was polished or chemically altered is not automatically valuable. A genuine mint error must be connected to the actual manufacturing process. That is why authentication becomes important when an unusual coin appears. If your 1984 P quarter has a dramatic characteristic that you cannot explain, don't immediately clean it or modify it. Check the date. Check the P mint mark. Examine Washington's portrait. Study the fields. Look for contact marks. Inspect the reverse. Search for genuine mint errors. Look at the strike. Look at the luster. And if the coin looks exceptionally well preserved, consider professional grading. Because the real jackpot isn't simply finding an old quarter. The real jackpot is finding the right quarter in the right condition. And sometimes, that little P mint mark can be the beginning of a much bigger story. A coin worth 25 cents in ordinary condition can become a serious collectible when exceptional preservation, rarity, and collector demand come together. That's why you should always look twice before spending old American coins. Your next valuable coin could be hiding in an old album. It could be sitting in a jar. It could be buried in a box of inherited coins. Or it could be right there in your hand. And the only way to know is to look carefully. So the next time you see a 1984 P Washington quarter, don't just see 25 cents. Look at the history. Look at the condition. Look at the details. Look for the unexpected. Because sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1984 P Washington quarter, please like this video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video about rare coins, valuable quarters, rare pennies, Jefferson nickels, silver coins, mint errors, coin values, and United States coins worth money. Keep checking your change. Keep checking your old collections. Keep learning. And most importantly, never underestimate a coin just because it looks ordinary. Thanks for watching, happy coin hunting, and good luck finding your next valuable American coin. Top 9. What if an ordinary-looking quarter from 1986 could be hiding a much bigger story than anyone around you realizes? What if that tiny P mint mark is the clue that tells you where the coin was made, while the real secret is hiding in its condition, surfaces, strike, and possible mint-made abnormalities? Before you throw an old quarter into a jar, spend it at a store, or assume it's worth only 25 cents, take a much closer look. Because today we're hunting for the 1986 P Washington quarter, one of those United States coins that can become surprisingly interesting when you find an exceptionally preserved example. And this isn't just about the date. It's about understanding what makes a normal coin different from a truly desirable collectible. The 1986 Washington quarter features the famous portrait of George Washington on the obverse. Washington faces left, with liberty above him. In God we trust alongside the portrait and the date 1986 below. Near the lower portion of Washington's portrait is the small P mint mark. That single letter tells collectors that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over and you'll see the classic American eagle reverse, with the eagle spreading its wings and surrounded by United States of America, e pluribus unum, and $quarter. It looks familiar. It looks ordinary. And that's exactly why so many people overlook it. The 1986 P Washington quarter was produced in huge numbers. PCGS lists a mintage of 551,199,333 for the 1986 Philadelphia issue. So let's clear up the first major misconception. The 1986 P quarter is not automatically rare simply because it is from 1986. There were hundreds of millions produced. But coin collecting has another side that is much more exciting. Condition. Imagine two 1986 P quarters sitting next to each other. The first has been circulating for decades. It has scratches. The high points are worn. The surfaces are dull. There are contact marks everywhere. Now look at the second coin. The surfaces are bright. The original mint luster is still present. Washington's cheek is remarkably clean. The hair has sharp detail. The lettering is crisp. The reverse has strong definition. The eagle's feathers are beautifully preserved. Suddenly, those two coins don't look like the same collectible anymore. This is where condition rarity enters the picture. A coin can have a massive original mintage and still be difficult to find at the very highest grades. Why? Because coins don't stay perfect. The moment a coin leaves the mint, it begins facing the real world. It can collide with other coins. It can be dropped. It can be transported in bags. It can be counted by machines. It can be handled by people. It can sit in cash registers. It can spend years circulating through the economy. Every contact can leave another tiny mark. After decades, those tiny marks add up. That's why an extremely well-preserved 1986 P Washington quarter can attract serious collector attention. And this is where you should start looking at your own coin. Take the quarter and examine Washington's cheek. This is one of the first areas where contact marks can become obvious. Are there deep scratches? Tiny hits? Clusters of marks? Or is the surface unusually clean? Next, inspect the fields around Washington's portrait. The open areas can reveal whether the coin has suffered significant contact. Tilt the coin under a good light. Do you see natural mint luster moving across the surface? Or does the coin look flat and dull? Now examine Washington's hair. Look for sharpness in the raised details. Then, check Liberty. Check I in God We Trust. Check the date. And carefully inspect the P mint mark. If the coin appears unusual, don't immediately assume you have discovered a rare variety. The next step is understanding what you're actually looking at. Now flip the coin over. The reverse deserves just as much attention. Look closely at the eagle's wings. Study the feathers. Examine the lettering. Check the open fields. Look for scratches, stains, discoloration, unusual marks, or anything that seems inconsistent with normal wear. And then ask yourself the most important question. Does this coin look significantly better than the average 1986 P quarter? If the answer is yes, it's time to investigate. The grading scale becomes very important here. Professional grading companies evaluate coins according to their condition, assigning grades that help collectors understand how well a coin has survived. Mint state coins are graded from MS60 upward, with higher grades representing increasingly exceptional preservation. For the 1986 P Washington quarter, PCGS price guide information shows that values can rise sharply at the upper end of the grading scale, with extremely high grade examples receiving substantial premiums. And that's where the treasure hunting psychology becomes powerful. You aren't looking for every 1986 quarter. You're looking for the one that stands out, the one with extraordinary surfaces, the one with remarkable eye appeal, the one that may qualify for an unusually high grade. or perhaps the one with a genuine mint error. And errors are another major reason collectors examine ordinary-looking coins. A genuine mint error can sometimes transform the value and desirability of coin. You check the fields. Beautifully clean. You flip it over. The eagle is sharply defined. You compare it with ordinary examples. And suddenly, you realize this coin deserves a second look. That's the moment when you should slow down. Don't sell it immediately. Don't clean it. Don't assume a price from a random online listing. Research the exact coin. Look for certified examples. Study auction results. Compare grades. And if the coin appears genuinely exceptional, consider professional certification. Because a high-value coin is only as useful as your ability to prove what it is. Now let's talk about another important factor: eye appeal. Two coins can technically receive the same grade and still look different. One may have attractive natural surfaces and strong luster. Another may have distracting marks or unattractive toning. Collectors often care about how a coin looks as well as what number appears on the certification label. That's why an exceptional 1986p quarter can be attractive even beyond the basic question of grade. It needs to look good. It needs to be original. It needs to have strong details. And ideally, it needs to have the kind of quality that makes collectors stop scrolling when they see it. This is where your ordinary quarter can become a serious treasure hunt. But don't let greed replace knowledge. The smartest coin hunters are excited, but they're careful. They know that most coins are common. They know that damage is not automatically an error. They know that online asking prices aren't the same as auction results. And they know that professional grading can make an enormous difference when a coin appears to be at the highest level. So, if you have a 1986p Washington quarter, start with the basics. Confirm the date. Confirm the P mint mark. Check the condition. Inspect both sides. Look for strong details. Look for original luster. Look for unusual mint-made characteristics. Avoid cleaning. And protect the coin while you research it. Because sometimes the coin everyone else ignores is the one you should be examining. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. What could this 1986p Washington quarter actually be worth? For an ordinary circulated example, you're generally looking at a coin close to its face value. But a truly exceptional certified example can be worth dramatically more. A documented MS-60 1986p Washington quarter reached $2,880 at auction, showing just how far a superb example can rise above ordinary face value. And that's the part of the story that makes collectors keep searching. 25 cents can become dollars. Dollars can become hundreds. And in the rarest high-grade circumstances, the numbers can climb into the thousands. But the coin has to earn that value. The grade has to be real. The surfaces have to be genuine. The condition has to be exceptional. And the market has to support the price. So before you spend your next 1986p Washington quarter, stop for a moment. Look at the date. Look at that tiny P. Study Washington. Study the fields. Study the eagle. Check the surfaces. Look for errors. And ask yourself whether your coin looks ordinary or extraordinary. Because you never know what has survived in an old coin jar, a forgotten collection, or a family box. The next valuable quarter could already be sitting there. And sometimes the most exciting discovery isn't a coin that was rare from the beginning. It's a coin that survived in a condition that almost nobody expected. That is the real thrill of coin collecting. You don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to look carefully. You need patience. You need knowledge. And you need to know which small details can make a big difference. So keep checking your quarters. Keep learning about rare coins. Keep searching for mint errors and high-grade examples. And most importantly, never assume that an old coin is worthless before you actually examine it. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the 1986p Washington quarter and its potential coin value. If you enjoyed this rare coin hunt, Please like the video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video about rare quarters, valuable pennies, Jefferson nickels, silver coins, mint errors, coin collecting, and United States coins worth money. Keep checking your change, keep checking those old collections, and keep searching for the coin that everyone else overlooked. Thanks for watching, happy coin hunting, and good luck finding your next valuable American coin. Top 10. What if an ordinary-looking quarter from 1986 could be hiding a much bigger story than anyone around you realizes? What if that tiny P mint mark is the clue that tells you where the coin was made, while the real secret is hiding in its condition, surfaces, strike, and possible mint-made abnormalities? Before you throw an old quarter into a jar, spend it at a store, or assume it's worth only 25 cents, take a much closer look. Because today we're hunting for the 1986 P Washington quarter, one of those United States coins that can become surprisingly interesting when you find an exceptionally preserved example. And this isn't just about the date. It's about understanding what makes a normal coin different from a truly desirable collectible. The 1986 Washington quarter features the famous portrait of George Washington on the obverse. Washington faces left, with liberty above him. In God we trust alongside the portrait and the date 1986 below. Near the lower portion of Washington's portrait is the small P mint mark. That single letter tells collectors that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over and you'll see the classic American eagle reverse, with the eagle spreading its wings and surrounded by United States of America, e pluribus unum, and $quarter. It looks familiar. It looks ordinary. And that's exactly why so many people overlook it. The 1986 P Washington quarter was produced in huge numbers. Piece GS lists a mintage of 551,199,333 for the 1986 Philadelphia issue. So let's clear up the first major misconception. The 1986 P quarter is not automatically rare simply because it is from 1986. There were hundreds of millions produced. But coin collecting has another side that is much more exciting. Condition. Imagine two 1986 P quarters sitting next to each other. The first has been circulating for decades. It has scratches. The high points are worn. The surfaces are dull. There are contact marks everywhere. Now, look at the second coin. The surfaces are bright. The original mint luster is still present. Washington's cheek is remarkably clean. The hair has sharp detail. The lettering is crisp. The reverse has strong definition. The eagle's feathers are beautifully preserved. Suddenly, those two coins don't look like the same collectible anymore. This is where condition rarity enters the picture. A coin can have a massive original mintage and still be difficult to find at the very highest grades. Why? Because coins don't stay perfect. The moment a coin leaves the mint, it begins facing the real world. It can collide with other coins. It can be dropped. It can be transported in bags. It can be counted by machines. It can be handled by people. It can sit in cash registers. It can spend years circulating through the economy. Every contact can leave another tiny mark. After decades, those tiny marks add up. That's why an extremely well-preserved 1986 P Washington quarter can attract serious collector attention. And this is where you should start looking at your own coin. Take the quarter and examine Washington's cheek. This is one of the first areas where contact marks can become obvious. Are there deep scratches? Tiny hits? Clusters of marks? Or is the surface unusually clean? Next, inspect the fields around Washington's portrait. The open areas can reveal whether the coin has suffered significant contact. Tilt the coin under a good light. Do you see natural mint luster moving across the surface? Or does the coin look flat and dull? Now examine Washington's hair. Look for sharpness in the raised details. Then, check liberty. Check I in God we trust. Check the date. And carefully inspect the P mint mark. If the coin appears unusual, don't immediately assume you have discovered a rare variety. The next step is understanding what you're actually looking at. Now flip the coin over. The reverse deserves just as much attention. How rare is my specific coin in this condition? That is a much smarter question, because the collector market often rewards exceptional examples. And this is why you might find 10 1986p quarters and ignore 9 of them, while spending much more time investigating the 10th. Maybe that one has unusually clean surfaces. Maybe it has an excellent strike. Maybe the luster is exceptional. Maybe it has a legitimate mint error. Maybe it is simply far better preserved than the others. That's the coin you want to investigate. Now imagine discovering one in an old collection. You pull out. You see the date. 1986. You notice the P. You rotate it under the light. The coin flashes with original luster. You inspect Washington's cheek. Almost no marks. You check the fields. Beautifully clean. You flip it over. The eagle is sharply defined. You compare it with ordinary examples. And suddenly, you realize this coin deserves a second look. That's the moment when you should slow down. Don't sell it immediately. Don't clean it. Don't assume a price from a random online listing. Research the exact coin. Look for certified examples. Study auction results. Compare grades. And if the coin appears genuinely exceptional, consider professional certification. Because a high-value coin is only as useful as your ability to prove what it is. Now let's talk about another important factor: eye appeal. Two coins can technically receive the same grade and still look different. One may have attractive natural surfaces and strong luster. Another may have distracting marks or unattractive toning. Collectors often care about how a coin looks as well as what number appears on the certification label. That's why an exceptional 1986p quarter can be attractive even beyond the basic question of grade. It needs to look good. It needs to be original. It needs to have strong details. And ideally, it needs to have the kind of quality that makes collectors stop scrolling when they see it. This is where your ordinary quarter can become a serious treasure hunt. But don't let greed replace knowledge. The smartest coin hunters are excited, but they're careful. They know that most coins are common. They know that damage is not automatically an error. They know that online asking prices aren't the same as auction results. And they know that professional grading can make an enormous difference when a coin appears to be at the highest level. So, if you have a 1986p Washington quarter, start with the basics. Confirm the date. Confirm the P mint mark. Check the condition. Inspect both sides. Look for strong details. Look for original luster. Look for unusual mint-made characteristics. Avoid cleaning. And protect the coin while you research it. Because sometimes the coin everyone else ignores is the one you should be examining. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. What could this 1986p Washington quarter actually be worth? For an ordinary circulated example, you're generally looking at a coin close to its face value. But a truly exceptional certified example can be worth dramatically more. A documented MS-60 7/1986p Washington quarter reached $2,880 at auction, showing just how far a superb example can rise above ordinary face value. And that's the part of the story that makes collectors keep searching. 25 cents can become dollars. Dollars can become hundreds. And in the rarest high-grade circumstances, the numbers can climb into the thousands. But the coin has to earn that value. The grade has to be real. The surfaces have to be genuine. The condition has to be exceptional. And the market has to support the price. So before you spend your next 1986p Washington quarter, stop for a moment. Look at the date. Look at that tiny P. Study Washington. Study the fields. Study the eagle. Check the surfaces. Look for errors. And ask yourself whether your coin looks ordinary or extraordinary. Because you never know what has survived in an old coin jar, a forgotten collection, or a family box. The next valuable quarter could already be sitting there. And sometimes the most exciting discovery isn't a coin that was rare from the beginning. It's a coin that survived in a condition that almost nobody expected. That is the real thrill of coin collecting. You don't need to be an expert to start. You just need to look carefully. You need patience. You need knowledge. And you need to know which small details can make a big difference. So keep checking your quarters. Keep learning about rare coins. Keep searching for mint errors and high-grade examples. And most importantly, never assume that an old coin is worthless before you actually examine it. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the 1986p Washington quarter and its potential coin value. If you enjoyed this rare coin hunt, please like the video, share it with your friends and fellow coin collectors, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video about rare quarters, valuable pennies, Jefferson nickels, silver coins, mint errors, coin collecting, and United States coins worth money. Keep checking your change, keep checking those old collections, and keep searching for the coin that everyone else overlooked. Thanks for watching, happy coin hunting, and good luck finding your next valuable American coin.